Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 13 of Thessia. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today we are planning the town of Thessia, our new wine town that is going to be sort of a sister build to Sentinel just across the landmass in a new beach area. We're going to play with some more network multi-tool fun today, alongside a really nice diamond interchange and a cute little train plaza, alongside some basic road frames that are going to help us build over here in future episodes. So please enjoy your Hyperlapse, and I'll catch you in the live play. So welcome to the new town, guys, or at least the new frame of the new town. We've got a fair bit to do here today, but this is going to be our new town. We've of course finished Sentinel last week, and we're now working with the town of Thessia, which is going to be a wine town. So we're going to have a lot of industry up in these hills here, sort of hopefully turning farming industry into a vineyard, which should be a very fun build. But that is another episode, that's another build, right? We need to get this town established first. So let's just have a little chat about what's happening. So I'm bringing the bypass road through Thessia. It will also have an exit here as well, which will be using some inspiration from Google Earth. And for the first time, we're actually going to start seeing the culmination of the networks from the north, at least arriving into the downtown space, which is quite exciting. I'm assuming we're also going to bring some down here, and possibly over here as well for, well, before the downtown begins its construction, basically, right? Cool, so let's turn our attention to the rail lines first of all. So this line on the inside is cargo, isn't it? Yeah, so we've allowed space for cargo traffic to come back through this area if we want. So I want to see if we can now just merge this back into the original cargo line. Because remember, this one actually runs to Valkyrie, so we'll be able to have a lot of cargo functionality here. And we almost certainly want to have... Oh goodness gracious, are you alright, City Skylines? That doesn't look like it's alright to me, does it? Let's try... redraw that one again. Let's go for straight piece there. Cool. We can use network multi-tool as well, of course, to refine any inconsistencies that we stumble across today. And let's have this at the height of that node there. Wonderful. And then we'll come into multi-slope and we'll just go from there to there, hopefully. That shouldn't upset the train police too much, I don't think. Yeah, got some nice little layers separating here too. So with this other train line, I want to use the parallel mode function to go from here down to here, I think, and we'll separate that out by 15 meters. Don't want a vast amount of distance between them. That should be good for me. We've got these train lines ever so slightly embanked as well, haven't we, which will help with getting networks across them. And then how are you going to behave on a curve tool here now? Train line, you going to behave yourself? Very nearly anyway. Cool, yeah, again, just want to correct some node inconsistencies there. Let's set these to the same height as these guys. That's going to be fine, and then again, we can multi-slope. Honestly, once you get the hang of network multi-tool, just for piecing together larger network structures, unrivaled mod, it's incredibly good. Cool, but either way, that does feed all the train lines back out of Thessia and towards downtown eventually, which is going to be very exciting. And then we want to now have a look at what's going to happen with this bypass road. So we want to create a junction here. So remember what we were working on last episode. We only need to actually provide one exit because this is providing another. Are you okay, guys? Do you need a bit of traffic manager? I think you do, don't you? Let's sort this out while we're here. Yes, let's go straight through, please. You want a roundabout? You don't need to stop. There we go. Yes. So yeah, it doesn't need to be omnidirectional because we're providing on and off ramps for Sentinel here. So really we only need to provide them in the opposite direction coming out of Sentinel, or coming out of downtown into Thessia basically. So let's come up these roads. So we're also slightly embanked here as well. So let's keep this going to about here. So let's bring this down. We'll also do the same with the other one as well. And again, looking at Google Earth, we're actually looking at a place called Bowroll, I think today, or Bowroll, I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce it. Big shout out to Mod Rach for the inspiration. But yeah, just really simple diamond slip ramps available for us to take inspiration from in actual Australia. So that's what we'll do here. And then just thinking which side of the line I want the bypass road to sit on. I don't think there's a point in bringing it back across the rails this side, so we'll probably keep it on this side here. So again, we'll come into Network Multi-Tool and we'll say parallel mode. Yes, please. Let's go for here down to here. And we want a fair bit of separation here, so let's knock this back by, what's that, 80 meters? That should give us a pretty decent space to play with. And then we'll create that parallel mode again with the roads. This time we'll have 25 meters between them. And then we can have this run as the main motorway road through the city, which we actually had a great name suggestion last time. I think we're going to call this the Asari Highway, which was a great suggestion. We'll leave the comment up on screen. Definitely on board with the Thessia theme. Cool. So, of course, this is all horrendously bumpy right now. We will multi-slope this out once we're happy with all our connections. But this road's going to come out of Sentinel into Thessia. We want this to cross over the rail lines, ideally. Let's just bring that straight across. Go for something like that. Wonderful news. Let's use our picker tool now. And we'll pick out the nodes of the rail. So that's all that we're grabbing. And we'll start sinking this down a little bit just so we know we can clear this bridge here. Just want those power lines to not be clipping the road, which is usually kind of a good barometer of what we want to happen. Something like that should be okay, I think. Wonderful. And let's turn this road now back into elevation. So we'll have bridge and bridge and bridge there. Fantastic. And then we'll actually use this road here now as the way we merge onto the national road. We can have a little junction here for that, and I imagine we'll probably also continue the entrance to the vineyards up here as well from this road, but that'll be probably next episode, I imagine. And then we'll slope all this out too, so there's nothing horrific happening. And then we'll also sort of slope the rest of this line once we know where our train station is going to fit. So we'll start curving this national road off to meet up with its new parallel counterparts. And then we'll arrange where we want our little diamond ramps to come in from. So I think we'll go for there. And here we'll sort of change 3 sections into bridge, I think. That's going to be good for me. Let's grab our nodes. We'll select all of these guys here and ask them to come to the same height as where the bridge starts from. At you as well, please, Mr. Node. Let's come to the same height together. That should be helpful if we could just move that one up a touch as well so the level makes it easier with drawing things out. Cool. Let's have this come underneath now. Hopefully just simple like that, so it doesn't cause us too many issues. Yet terrains, sometimes the terrain on this map really helps, sometimes it really doesn't. It's kind of a mixed bag, but we'll make do with what we can here. Cool, so I'm happy with that. We'll develop some ramps in a second. I really want to get this hooked over to the other side, so again we'll use move it just to arrange our nodes. You guys also want to come up as well, and yeah, this is a little bit too high for what I want, but we'll change it in a second. So come into bridge function here, we'll come over the rail line. I think, you know, Thessia could be one of the coolest looking OE cities when it's all said and done. I think just having this myriad of sort of mini towns and all interconnected via sort of rural rail and rural highway road, it's going to be a really cool aesthetic, I think, once it's done. Fabulous, so we don't want you to be that high up. Let's bring you down here now, and then we'll come back into multi-tool and we'll ask for that connection to be created between these 2 networks now. And then once we got that in, we know we can do some sensible multi-tooling. So let's come back into slope again. Very network heavy episode this one again, guys. Apologies if you're hoping for a build, but we've got networks to establish, right? So yeah, come straight back up to the start of these bridges. Hopefully we'll be happy enough with that. I actually wonder if we can get a longer slope going here. How about we slope all that way down there? I think that might be a little more realistic, mightn't it? We'll have that one. It's a little bit harsh with the embankment, but we can soften that out and do some nice detail in here. Actually, looking at the highway that passes through this particular part of Australia, it's actually very mountainous. It passes over a big gorge with a super heavily forested area. It's a very cool sort of network that flows through the mountains. Although this one isn't nearly as extreme as that, of course. Cool, and then we can feed a road out of Thessia to run alongside the highway, and probably eventually at some point down here another junction for that national road to make use of. And then we can just flip our directions around, slowly getting more used to the left-hand drive. Still sometimes have to stop and think, but we will. Hopefully come over that before the end of the series at least. Yep, and all the way back up here. Yes, please. Cool, so now let's have a little look at sloping some of this gear out over here. Can we go from the start of these bridges down to these ones on a sensible slope? Looks like we can. So we'll do that again as well. In little bits of soften, just to tidy up any inconsistencies that arise with network multi-sloping. Wonderful. There's a lot of natural detail into doing Thessia. I'm very much looking forward to the live streams when we can come and do some network detailing. Cool, and then we can soften all this out too. Cool, so that should give us at least a realistic sort of design as to what we want to happen with the Asari highway. And then we can have this run over. We'll soften this out as well so it's not quite as obvious. We could keep that elevated, but I guess it would be cheaper, right, for the city to build it on the ground than it would an actual bridge. So let's have a look now at bringing some of our diamond slip ramps into the area. So I think we'll come from this node here, and if we can replicate the angle, let's go for 23 degrees. Shouldn't be too bad, I hope. We'll need to do a little bit of a curve here just with the shape of the road, I think, but it shouldn't be an issue. And bring that down into there. Let's also prepare that road crossing as well to come up here, and eventually over the hill and far away. This can probably just be 2-lane there. We don't need a 4-lane road coming this high into the mountains. And then this eventually will provide a connection for our vineyard build, which will be very exciting. This node here is a little close to the rail junction, a little bit too tight, but it's not a main connection, so it should be okay. If it does prove an issue, then of course we can change it later date. And then we'll bring this one up here as well. Let's go for that one there, I think. And again, I mentioned earlier, we don't need to provide sort of omnidirectionality, but we've kind of got the perfect space here for these ramps to just chill out. So we kind of might as well just actually leave their connections on. We'll also get people actually using the Asari highway as well while we're here. And then we'll stick a little 2-lane segment at the end of the entry roads so we can have some fresh lane maths. We'll also square these off, move our pedestrian crossings, and just widen everyone out a touch. Just go for 18 meters if we can afford it. I don't think we will be able to on this side, but what we will do is bring blue back a little bit as well. Let's also remove the pedestrian crossings off of that road too. Fabulous, so some IMT to be enjoyed here as well. Come our detailing time lapse, and want to slope that one as well. Then what I do want to do here is actually just increase the angle of the slip. Let's go for a little bit longer if we can help it. I think they just look a little bit too short. What was the measurement here? 110. See if we can replicate that this side as well. Up to there by the looks of it. Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. And then with these, we'll see if we can actually pull them out with the bridge segments instead. Might be a little bit more appealing, mightn't it? Yeah, I think I'm happy with that. Switch our directions back around again. And again, let's make sure we add a little bit of lane maths on those exit roads. Yep, don't mind those, and we can square these off and sort out any little weird inconsistencies, such as that. To make this the same height as the node that it leaves, there we go. And same again here, node controller to square off, and plenty of intersection marking tool possibilities available come our detailing time lapse today. So that's going to give us some first set of slip roads for the Asari highway. Of course, needs to be detailed, but it's at least providing the connection for right now. So let's turn our attention to what's happening with the train line. So there's a really cool design that's happening in the town we're looking at today. It kind of has a road behind it that's elevated, and then the train goes underneath it. It's a really sort of cool design. So we'll sort of make this little area here around the train line and the front of the beach here, sort of the town centre, if you like, and we can start to base some cool things off of this. So let's grab our train station. We of course want to use the Seaside Resorts one, don't we? Yep, historical train station. We are using this everywhere, but for a small town Aussie build, it's sort of perfect. So actually for this one, I think we might go for a different one actually. We've got the railroad to Japan now, haven't we? So why don't we use one of the small ground train stations from this? I it still sort of retains a small town vibe, doesn't it? Because we are using that historical train station quite literally everywhere. Cool, so let's get this lined up with our train line. I'm happy to have it sat there, I think. So remove these sections. So the train line itself is ever so slightly sunken compared to the building, so we're going to have to be careful with how this all works. It's going to need a little bit of TLC to get it there. Let's come back into our rail. We'll connect these back into their lines. And now we know where the train station is sat, we can also multi-slope these as well from here down to here, hopefully. No, because that brings it up in the middle of the road, doesn't it? So let's not do that. So instead we will slope it from the bottom here up to the station. That should allow it to go a little bit easier, I think. And yeah, we kind of see in Google Earth that this station, or the line behind it, sort of is essentially sunken and has bridges going over and whatnot. So we'll see if we can replicate this in cities. And now we can give a road connection into our train station as well. So let's come from here up to here. We'll line up with the guidelines of the train line. That provides connection. That's wonderful. Main road can come down to the beach. We will stick a little roundabout here as well, I think. So I don't want Benezia's beach to be as touristic as Sentinel's was. So let me know what you guys want to see on Benezia's beach. Again, I don't want it to be kind of too surfer tourist focused like Sentinel was. So let me know what you want to see here. Some weird junk happening there as well. And then this is the road now that we can run out of Venezia. And that can go down with the national dual carriageway, and we can create junctions down here, little sort of mini micro builds or whatever we want, sort of in the outer line town. But it is starting to come together now, isn't it? It's really satisfying planning all these networks in. Apart from this, of course. we will sort that out, please. Please don't worry, we will fix it. Cool, so train line established. Let's move into this little road time lapse now so we can get some frames established for the town. Awesome. So the town frame is now starting to establish itself. I'd like to come in and grab the Valkyrie line now and bring this to stop at Venezia. And then we want to make sure that we add the stops on both sides of the line back into Sentinel. Let's have a look at the train coming down here. It's going past the Bunnings, right? It's a bloody big train, mate. I'm just going to come down here. Past all this Thessia dry belt for the first time. Very keen to see this. Fantastic news, look at that. So good to have some parallel networks set up in the city now, isn't it? These guys are going to come under the bridge, and then they're going to come and stop at Thessia, and of course will eventually run into the downtown. So you can now get all the way from Valkyrie over here via train, passing through Sentinel. Look how all the networks are developing now as well from the bird's eye view. It's really getting some chungus to it now, isn't it? So exciting to watch this develop. It's like ultimate city satisfaction for me. You guys alright? You shouldn't be stopping here. Oh, did you get off just because I drew the line down there? I was going to say, like, there's no reason for you to come here yet, but people just dying to get into Thessia, clearly. Can't wait to get on that wine, can they? Little bottle of Pinot Grigio, perhaps. Cool, so just want to quickly nip across some last little connections before we move into a detailing time-lapse. I think I'd also like a little backdoor entrance here into Sentinel's industrial processing, because I don't really want to build a massive industrial area for Thessia, so I imagine it's going to sponge a little bit off of Sentinel's main sort of, you know, garbage and water processing stuff, but we'll sort of see what happens. But either way, this does feel like a good place for a detailing time lapse. We've got quite a bit of IMT to do. I want to arrange these junctions here with some nice intersection markings, and I think I'm also going to change this rail into a bridge as well. I think the rail crossing here just looks a little bit unnatural, and we've got the terrain heights to play with, so we might as well elevate it if we can. Yeah, lots of this node controller, bring some semblance of natural forest back, and don't forget to get your comments down below as well as to what sort of beach that you want to see in Thessia, anything in Australia that we can go and take inspiration from. I'm thinking we'll maybe have a little lighthouse here, perhaps a little marina, perhaps, something like that. But fun town, and it'll definitely have a vineyard, probably next episode as well. But either way, let's get its frame detailed and ready for building, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, so over the hill and far away from Sentinel now lies the town frame of Thessia, where we brought down this 4-lane road to totally match up with some residential patterns whenever we come to do some residential here. Around the back of the train station we've added in a little seawall key, which really helps to frame the train station actually. I'm a big fan of this key here, really simple but quite powerful, isn't it? So just a simple fenceless with some benches looking out over there. We pan around to the front of the station where we dropped in a little bit of parking. Wanted to drop down some commercial just so there's people actually coming to Valkyrie, so not Valkyrie, sorry, Thessia, so we can see some people moving around in the cinematics. A little bit of African miniature stuff, and then dropped in a Japanese unique on its side. Then put in a little combination of Hearts of Korea and Modern City Centre with some benches at the front of the station before we arrive at some regular planter work. And then lots of overgrown sunken rail network kind of cuts right through the town of Thessia, which is really cool. You know, once we've got builds all around this town's going to look great, I think. It's got some really nice layers to it up here on the interchange with the sort of trains sunk down in the middle and then the beach over there. So it should be a really cool town once it comes together. Down the main street here into town, we've come in again with some of that more metal fence around the overgrowth. And then switch to the wide 2-lane road, well, 2-lane road with wide sidewalks even. Which creates a really nice effect, doesn't it, in the road network, you know, as you kind of get that wider sidewalk where our commercial's going to sit. So really enjoyed that. And then we come into some really basic 3-lane IMT work with someone enjoying the fruits of the roundabout now, which is nice. And then this road comes down here again in some more really simple, minimalistic IMT. And then same thing again up here. Before our roads do trail back up towards our diamond interchange, which has now been IMT'd to the best of my ability, at least. Hope it's not too bad. Again, tried to keep it pretty simple and minimalistic, looking at what was on those markings on the highway near Bowral. But really happy with it, and the train line is now a bridge as well, which is much better, isn't it? This is clearly the better choice to go for. It's just turned into a really nice little network planning episode. Got a nice little frame here now to get stuck into Thessia next time. And there are also people using the Asari carriageway now, which is amazing, isn't it? Really happy to see that actually coming and going as well from this connection. There you go. There's another one getting back on, another one coming down there too. See where he's going. He's going to come down here, turn off left and explore the town. They're actually using it to get back into in this little back door here from the industrial area. They're actually preferring to use the bypass road than to actually even bother coming back through Sentinel and leaving this way. So if it alleviates industrial traffic off of this road, I'm happy with the function of the bypass, and of course it's only going to get busier once it's hooked into an eventual downtown space. But otherwise guys, that is going to do it for today. If you enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Even so much if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave a dislike as well. I really do enjoy these modded network planning sessions. There's so much more fun things to do with the mods, and Thessia's already looking like a really nice town. Really can't wait to get stuck into its flagship build, which will of course be the vineyards up on the mountain behind us. But yeah, look forward to that. I am away on holiday. I'm trying to get as much footage and videos recorded as I can before I leave, but it's unlikely next week that you will have an episode of Thessia. But I'm going to try to get as much done as I can in advance. But I'll let you know on Discord and Twitter, as we always do. Please enjoy your cinematics, but I'll shut up and leave it there. And let's thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.